Welcome to Learn Bright Kids. Stories and relaxing music. This is a story the whole family will love. Please subscribe, like, and share. Your support means the world to me. Thank you. Once upon a time, there was a poor shoemaker named Erland. Erland was very hard-working, making the most beautiful shoes every day and night. One day, after finishing his work, he picked up a small bag of money and spoke to himself. I have saved some money for myself. What should I do with it now? Erland looked outside the window and realized he hadn't traveled anywhere for a long time. It's so beautiful outside. Why don't I make a trip around the world? Without a second thought, he immediately started to pack his luggage for the upcoming adventure. He brought a big piece of cheese. Suddenly, he saw a bird on the windowsill, caught it happily, and put it into his pocket. Erland began his world adventure. As he was approaching a large tree, he saw a giant leaning against the tree and resting. "Hello, friend. Who are you and why are you so big?" "You are the first tiny person who dares to speak to me. You are a really brave man. I am Hector, the champion giant. I have never lost a single competition." "Hello, Hector. I am Erland. I am on my adventure around the world. Do you want to come with me?" "Why do I have to go with such a tiny kid? Do you think you deserve my help?" "Don't look down on me because I'm small. I am very strong." Hector smirked. "Fine, so let's compete. If you are stronger than me, I will go with you." Hector looked around, saw a big rock in front of him, and crushed it. "See if you're strong. Try to crush a big rock like me." "You could only crush the rock, but I could even squeeze it into liquid." Erland quickly took the cheese out and squeezed it into liquid. Hector was too tall to see it, so he thought Erland had actually squeezed the rock into liquid. "This guy is strong. I can't squeeze the rock into liquid. I must find another way." "Very well. Now let's compete to see which one of us can throw farther." Hector lifted a big rock and threw it away. The rock flew far away and landed on an empty field. "That is the best you can do. Now watch me." Erland cleverly released the bird and threw it high up into the sky. Happy for being set free, the bird flew away to the sun. Hector still thought that Erland had just thrown a rock. The bird flew higher and higher. "How could you possibly throw the rock up that high?" "Because my arm is stronger than yours." "All right, I lost the second round. Now we will compete in carrying heavy loads. If you are strong, then help me carry this tree out of the forest." "Okay, the hardest and heaviest part is this big canopy. I'll carry it and you will carry the trunk. That's fair, right?" Hector thought that Erland was right. He thought the canopy was heavier, so it would be smarter to carry the trunk. Hector carried the heavy trunk and walked first. Because it was too heavy, Hector could not turn around to look behind him. Meanwhile, Erland just sat relaxed and whistled on the tree branch, letting Hector carry both him and the heavy tree. "It's too heavy. I'm too tired. I can't carry it anymore." Immediately, Erland jumped down onto the ground. "I thought you said you were strong. You look so big, but you're so weak. You can't even carry the trunk. I was carrying this canopy while whistling, but I'm not tired." "I don't know why this tree is heavier than usual. Okay, I give up. You're stronger than me." Finally, Erland won. Therefore, Hector agreed to carry Erland on his shoulder to travel around the world. Both of them arrived at an imperial city and stopped outside the gates. "We've arrived, but you are too big. You might scare some people. Let me enter and take a look first. You can go hide in that forest." Hector thought that made sense, so he agreed. He went to the forest to wait for Erland. After saying goodbye to Hector, Erland went to the gates and met two guards. He knew that a beautiful princess named Fiora had been kidnapped by the evil giant Fred, and the king promised to marry the princess to anyone who could rescue her. "Hello, gentlemen. Please tell the king that I want to save the princess." Because Erland looked small, the guards looked down on him and laughed. "You don't believe me? On the way here, I also defeated a giant. Come on, just go tell the king." One guard was very surprised when he knew that Erland could defeat a giant. He immediately went to tell the king. The king hurriedly invited Aland into the palace to meet him. "Your Majesty, I am a brave man and I can rescue the princess." "Very good, little hero. How many soldiers do you need?" "Your Majesty, I don't need any soldiers. Just me is enough." "What? Even my whole army couldn't do anything to him. How can you do it alone?" "Please don't worry, Your Majesty. I will save the princess and bring her back safely." "All right. If that's what you want, then I agree. I hope you can save my daughter." Then Aland set out to rescue the princess. First, he went to the forest to find Hecton. Hecton continued to carry Aland on his shoulder while walking. He curiously asked, "How was it? Was there anything good in the city? Was there anyone as strong as us?" "No, but in this forest, there is someone stronger than both of us." "Who could be stronger than the both of us?" "I heard that in this forest is a giant who always claims to be the strongest giant in the world. That means he's even stronger than you." "Who is this bragging giant? I have to compete with him." "His name is Fred. I think you're much stronger than him. I'll teach him a lesson. I have an idea. Just listen to me, and you will surely find him and know how to handle him." Aland told Hecton about his plan, and the giant happily agreed to listen. They found the giant Fred resting in the forest, with Princess Fiona locked in an iron cage. Aland and Hecton approached the giant. "Hello, friend. I didn't expect to meet another giant like me in this forest." "Oh, who are you? What do you want here?" "I am Hecton. I have just kidnapped this tiny little man and I am seeking refuge." Seeing Aland sitting on Hecton's shoulder, Fred immediately believed him. He was very excited to meet another giant like him. "Very good. So come with me. I am Fred, and have also just kidnapped a tiny girl." "That's good. Let's put this tiny man in the same cage as the tiny woman and keep them both." Fred agreed immediately. Then Aland was imprisoned in the iron cage with Fiona. Aland passionately admired Fiona's beauty and fell in love with her at first sight. The princess was surprised when a boy appeared in the iron cage. "Are you Princess Fiona?" "How do you know that? Who are you?" "I am Aland. The king sent me to rescue you." "Now you're also locked up. How can you save me?" "Don't worry. The giant Hecton is my friend. We have a plan to catch Fred and rescue you. This place is not good. There's no shade at all, and there's nothing to eat here. I'm hungry. Do you know any better place? I will show you an old apple tree over there. We can sleep under the tree and have apples to eat." "Apples are so tasty and crunchy. That tiny man is smart. Just give me the key, and I will watch them for you." Fred agreed immediately and gave Hecton the key. Hecton quickly carried the iron cage and showed Fred the way to a big ancient apple tree with a lot of apples on the ground. Fred ran over with joy. Immediately, a huge iron cage fell down and locked Fred inside. The evil giant tried to escape but couldn't. Hecton then unlocked the cage for Aland and Fiona. Because of Aland's intelligence and bravery, Princess Fiona also fell in love with him. "I told you that I would save you." "Yes, you are so smart and brave." Aland and Fiona said goodbye to the king giant Hecton and then returned to the palace. The king gladly welcomed Aland and Princess Fiona back safely. "Aland, you are a very strong and brave hero. Tell me, what noble family are you from?" "I'm just an ordinary shoemaker." "A shoemaker? How could he suit my daughter? If my daughter marries him, her life will be miserable, but I promised him. What should I do now? Recently, there is a huge and aggressive rhino that has destroyed many people's houses. If you can catch it, I will agree to marry my daughter to you." "Dear father, why do you give such a hard challenge? How can one guy catch a huge rhino?" "If he wants to be my son-in-law, he must be very brave and extraordinary." "Yes, Your Majesty. Please don't worry, Princess. I will catch that rhino and return safely." Aland bravely set out to find the rhino. He saw the huge rhino in the forest. The rhino noticed him and ran furiously toward Aland. Facing the aggressive rhino, Aland was still calm. He quickly jumped to the side and the rhino crashed. The rhino's horn was stuck in the trunk and it was trapped. The rhino tried to take it out but couldn't. "Help me!" "All right, I'll help you. but with one condition. You have to promise me not to destroy people's houses anymore." "I promise." Aland stood in front of the rhino. It expressed its regret and bowed down to him. "Thank you for saving me. I will always remember. If you ever need my help, just whistle and I'll be right there." "All right, I got it. Now just go back to your forest." Aland released the rhino back to the forest. The rhino said goodbye to him, ran into the forest, and promised not to destroy houses anymore. Aland returned to the palace and told the king the whole story, but the king was still not satisfied. "You have said that you released the rhino back into the forest. Has anyone witnessed this?" "Actually, no, but the rhino promised not to destroy houses anymore." "Dad, don't make it difficult for him anymore." "Okay, I will give you one more chance. Recently, there is a wild boar destroying people's crops. If you can catch it, I will let you marry my daughter." "Father, this is too difficult. No one can catch that boar." "To be my son-in-law, he must be very brave and extraordinary." "Yes, Your Majesty. Fiona, please don't worry. I can do it, and I'll marry you." Aland once again went to the forest to find the wild boar. This time, he prepared a huge iron cage. Aland saw a big, fierce wild boar running towards him. Aland turned around and ran quickly. The wild boar chased after him. Aland lured the boar into the cage. As Aland ran through the other door, the cage door fell, trapping the wild boar inside. The frightened animal struggled in vain. "Please let me out." "All right, I'll let you out, but you must promise not to destroy the crops anymore." "I promise." Aland stood before the big wild boar. It expressed its regret and bowed to him. "Thank you for releasing me. I will always remember. If you ever need my help, just whistle and I will be right there." "All right, I got it. Just go back to the forest." Aland released the boar, which said goodbye and ran back to the forest, promising not to destroy crops anymore. Aland returned to the palace and told the king the whole story, but the king was still not satisfied. "You said you released the boar back into the forest. Has anyone witnessed this?" "Actually, no, but it promised not to destroy the crops anymore." "Dad, don't make it more difficult for him." This time I have to make a really difficult challenge, so he will give up." "All right, I'll give you one more chance. Go to the forest, cut down, and bring back 100 trees to store for the winter. I'll give you one day to finish. If not, you can never marry the princess." "Father, how can he cut down 100 big trees in a day? This is even harder than catching the rhino and the wild boar. To be my son-in-law, he must be very brave and extraordinary." "Your Majesty, I will do it. Fiora, please don't worry. I will complete the king's challenge and marry you." However, after cutting down a tree, Aland felt tired. He knew he could not complete this challenge on his own. Suddenly, Aland had an idea. He made a small flute from a leaf and blew it. The sound echoed throughout the forest. Hearing the flute, the rhino and the boar quickly ran to help him. "The king ordered me to cut down 100 trees in a day to store for the palace. I don't think I can make it, so I have to ask for your help." "Don't worry, we can help you cut down 100 trees and bring them back in a day." The rhino and the boar started right away. The pile of wood grew higher and higher. Not long after, Aland had 100 big trees ready to bring back. The rhino and the boar also helped. Aland carried the trees back to the palace. Aland returned to the palace and told the king everything. Upon seeing Aland's accomplishment, the king was very surprised. Finally, the king let Princess Fiona marry Aland, the smart and brave shoemaker. Later on, Aland became king and ruled the kingdom in peace and prosperity with Queen Fiona. Rowan trudged through the forest, feeling the ground shake behind him. A giant, as big as a mountain, loomed over him. "Ah, it's just a tiny boy. How dare you come here? Do you know where you are?" "I'm not scared of you. With this drum in my hands, I can call thousands of my people waiting outside to come here at once." "Thousands? What can you tiny people do to me? I alone would be enough to crush you all." "Don't underestimate us. Humans are small but very clever. We are hiding around the forest. To crush us, you would have to destroy your forest. No, this forest is my home. I would never destroy it. We will also divide into small groups to disturb you every day, so you can't rest at all. Everybody needs to rest, including giants. By the time you're all exhausted, we will attack. Do you think you can win with that strategy? Of course, or else I wouldn't dare come here alone. Humans are clever. What if they actually do it? We can easily fight with bears or tigers, but humans are much smarter and more dangerous. I think making peace with them is better. Hey, drummer, I want to make peace with you. If you leave this forest and let us giants live in peace, we will help you with anything. All right, I will ask them to leave and won't disturb you as long as you agree to take me through this forest to the top of the glass mountain. Yes, I agree, but you must tell them to leave this forest first. Rowan agreed and immediately played the drum, the sound echoing through the forest. Okay, they have left already. Humans are so hard to understand. When you call them, you play the drum. Then when you tell them to leave, you also play the drum. Because we humans are clever. When I play the drum, I can create different rhythms, and they will know exactly which is a signal to attack or to retreat. You guys are smart. The giant Ulrich now admired the tiny people's intelligence. Ulrich put his giant hand down for Rowan to climb on. As Ulrich ordered, the other giants also helped. They passed Rowan from one giant's hand to another, their arms incredibly long. Soon, Rowan could see the high glass mountain in front of him. Finally, he reached the top of the glass mountain. After looking around for a while, Rowan found a small house. He approached and knocked on the door. An old woman opened it. It was the witch Vera. Who are you? How could you come here? How come those giants didn't eat you? I'm Rowan, a drummer. I am their friend, so they helped me come here. Now I'm so hungry. Could you give me something to eat? That's strange. I have a lot of food to give you, but you have to do one thing for me. That's okay. I am starving now. After Rowan finished his meal, Vera led him to the lake and gave him a small bucket with many holes. You must drain the lake with this bucket. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, I'll come here to check. If you cannot finish, you will be my slave forever. Rowan tried to use the bucket to scoop water from the lake, but the water just kept flowing out through the holes. Until it was dark, he had only managed to remove a little bit of water. She's clearly making it difficult for me. How can I finish before sunrise? How can I rescue Adela now? I will give you this ring when you get to the top of the mountain. It will be helpful for you. That's right, the ring. I almost forgot about it. Rowan gently twisted the ring, and a magical light flashed. The lake immediately dried out with no water left. The witch would never imagine I could do this. Now she must be asleep. I have to find a way to punish her. Waiting until midnight, Rowan stood on the top of the mountain and played the drum loudly. The sound echoed all over the mountain, waking the witch Vera from her sleep. What? What happened? She immediately ran outside, surprised to see Rowan playing the drums so loudly. You fool! How did you play the drum so loudly at midnight? Do you know you ruined my good sleep? Oh, there you are. I just wanted to tell you that I completed your challenge. Vera was shocked to see the lake was empty. How could you do that with the broken bucket? If you try your best, then nothing is impossible. No, no way! Oh my God! The witch suddenly disappeared. As soon as she vanished, Princess Adela appeared in front of Rowan. Thank you, Rowan. You are a brave drummer. You have gone through a long, difficult, and dangerous journey to come here to save me. You have defeated the witch and freed me from her curse. But I didn't really do anything. You have defeated the witch thanks to your courage. The witch's curse was that only a brave person who could overcome difficult challenges could save me. It was thanks to the magic ring that you gave me. Without it, I wouldn't have completed her challenge. Even with the ring, not everyone has the courage to come all the way here to accept the witch's challenge. That's because, well, I fell in love with you. For you, I can do anything. But I am just an ordinary drummer. I know I don't deserve you, Adela. Oh, my brave man, you are the one for me. You are the only person who could save me. I also fell in love with you. But I have no treasures or jewels to give you. I adore you not because of what you have, but because of who you are. You are my greatest treasure." Princess Adela took Rowan back to the palace to meet her father. The king was so happy to see his daughter safe after such a long time. When he learned that Rowan was the one who saved Adela from the witch's curse, the king was very pleased with the drummer. The marriage was celebrated beautifully in the palace, and they lived happily ever after. Please enjoy our next story, Tiny Adventures. Once upon a time, there was a poor farmer couple who lived happily together in a small house. There was only one thing that they were sad about, and that was the fact that they hadn't had any kids for a long time. "We don't have any children. Our home feels so empty and sad," the farmer said. "I wish we had a child, even if he's only as small as a finger. I'd be satisfied. We would love him so much," his wife added. One day, their wish finally came true. The farmer couple gave birth to a very handsome and smart little boy, but he was only as small as a finger. However, the couple was still very happy. "Wow, hun, your wish actually came true. I'm so happy," the farmer exclaimed. "I'm happy too. Let's name the boy Tiny," his wife suggested. Since Tiny came into their world, the family was always filled with laughter. They loved Tiny so much. However, when he grew up, he was only as small as a hand. He wanted to be a handy-dandy son. One day, when the dad was about to go into the forest to cut down a tree, Tiny spoke up. "If only someone could help me ride the carriage into the forest," the father mused. "Father, I can help you with that." "Trust me, the carriage will be in the forest on time," Tiny insisted. "Tiny, that's impossible. You're very small. How can you hold the bridle?" the father asked skeptically. "It's okay, Dad. Mum will saddle the horse to the carriage. I will sit on the horse's ear and control it. It will follow my instructions," Tiny explained. "All right, we'll see if that'll work," the father agreed reluctantly. When it was time to set out, Tiny's mother took the horse carriage and put Tiny in the horse's ear. "Thanks, Mother. I'm leaving now. Hey, let's go, my horsey. Giddy up!" Tiny said goodbye to his mother and ordered the horse to leave. The horse carriage ran very fast in the direction of the forest, as if it had no controller. While they were on their way, there was also another person heading towards the forest. It was Jim, a crafty thief. Tiny's carriage passed by Jim, who was surprised to see the carriage running without a rider. He could only hear a voice directing the horse. "That's strange. I only hear the voice. There's no rider, but the horse still runs in the right direction. I have to follow it to find out why," Jim thought. Then Jim followed Tiny's carriage into the forest. Tiny's carriage stopped in front of the farmer. "Father, I have brought the carriage here. Please take me down," Tiny called out. The farmer was happy to see his son. He helped Tiny get off the horse's ear and looked at his little brave son with love. Jim hid inside a bush and looked at the carriage. He was shocked when he saw Tiny. He immediately had a plan. "Wow, a tiny boy. If I take him to the circus in the capital, I'll make loads of money," Jim thought. Jim approached the farmer and talked to him. "Hello, I'm Jim, a merchant from the capital. I really like this little boy. Please sell him to me. I promise to take good care of him, and I'll give you lots of gold and silver," Jim proposed. "No, never. This is my son. All the gold and silver in the world cannot buy him. Please go away," the farmer replied firmly. After talking, the farmer took Tiny away. "Well, this farmer is so stupid. I offered to pay him, but he refused. Fine, if you don't want money, I'll kidnap him when you're not paying attention," Jim decided. Because he woke up very early in the morning, Tiny fell asleep on the straw while his dad was moving the wood into the carriage. Jim knew his opportunity had come. Jim quickly kidnapped Tiny while he was fast asleep and left. When the farmer finished his work, he called Tiny to go home together. "Tiny! Tiny! Where are you, Tiny?" the farmer called out. The farmer looked around in a panic but could not find Tiny anywhere. He didn't know that while Tiny was sleeping, Jim had taken him away. When Tiny woke up, he realized that he was lying on a rock in the forest. Where am I? Where is Father? Are you kidnapping me? Tiny asked, confused. Now we're about to enter the town. Your father didn't sell you to me, so I had to kidnap you, Jim admitted. But why are you bringing me there? Tiny asked. To make money. You will help me earn lots of money, Jim explained. Fine, I agree to help you earn money, but I want to sit on your hat to enjoy the scenery, Tiny suggested. No problem. If you help me earn a lot of money, I won't mistreat you, Jim agreed. Then Jim lifted Tiny and put him on his hat. Hold on tight, little buddy, Jim said. Tiny pretended to be excited to be with Jim, making him very happy. Sitting on Jim's head, Tiny tried to observe and remember the way. Hey, now that we're friends, if I help you earn a lot of money, you have to share it with me, okay? Tiny asked. Okay, I shall give you half the money, Jim agreed. We've just met. How can I make sure you'll share the money with me? I think you should give me something valuable as security. Then when you give me my pay, I'll return it to you. Deal? Tiny proposed. Wow, this kid is really cautious. Oh well, he's as small as a finger, so I could just take it back whenever I want. Okay, just to reassure you, I will give you my precious gem. Is that enough collateral for you? Jim asked. Jim took out a shiny gem from his pocket. See this? I just spent big money to buy it. Now I'll give it to you as collateral, Jim said. Tiny quickly took the gem and put it inside his pocket. Okay, I'll trust you for now, Tiny said. Both of them continued going. Soon, it became very dark. Sitting on the hat, Tiny saw a bush in front of him. The little boy immediately had a plan to run away. Tiny pretended to hold his stomach and scream, "Oh, oh, oh, I have a terrible stomach ache right now. Oh, please let me down. I need to poop." Try to hold it. We're arriving at the inn. Then you can do whatever you need to do, Jim said. No, I can't stand it anymore. If you don't put me down, I might go on your hat, Tiny threatened. Hearing that, Jim tried to stop him immediately. What? No, don't! This is my favorite villain hat! Okay, I'll put you down here, Jim relented. As soon as Jim lowered his hat, Tiny quickly jumped off the hat and hid in the bush. What? You're not pooping! You're running! Where are you hiding? Come out now! Jim shouted. However, because it was very dark and there were so many bushes around, Jim couldn't find Tiny anywhere. You very little liar! Come out for me! Jim yelled. Tiny quickly hid in a small cave covered with many thick grass layers. Jim kept searching but couldn't find him, and the sky became darker and darker. You mischievous boy! Where did you go? Why can't I find him now? Oh, my precious gem, I've lost a fortune. He's got my gem, Jim lamented. He kept on looking but could not find anything. Jim had to give up and go away with nothing. When he walked far away, Tiny carefully came out from the cave. Tiny was trying to find his way in the dark when he bumped into a snail shell in the middle of the path. Oh, a snail shell! Lucky me, I have a place to sleep tonight, Tiny said. Then Tiny got into the shell and chose the most comfortable position. He couldn't even kidnap me, and he lost his gem. Serves him right. But how do I get home? Tiny wondered. Suddenly, there was a voice outside. How do I steal all the things in that rich man's house? The voice said. Tiny peeked out to see who it was and saw a thief. Tiny happily said, Oh, I know a way to get out of here. The thief was still walking and thinking when Tiny showed up and spoke to the thief. Easy, I'll show you how, Tiny said. The thief was very confused. He looked around to see where the voice was coming from. Who is that? Come out here, the thief demanded. Hey, look down here. I'm down here, Tiny said. The thief bent down to hear and saw Tiny next to a snail shell. He was shocked when he saw a tiny person. You're only a very tiny boy. How can you help me? The thief asked skeptically. I can easily get in the house through the window and bring out anything you need, Tiny explained. Yeah, good idea. Let's see how good you are. If you do it well, I'll give you a good reward, the thief promised. Listening to Tiny, the thief excitedly climbed into the wealthy house to start stealing things. When he stood outside the big room, he ordered Tiny, All right, now you go inside and open the lock, but I don't know what to steal. Oh, you're small, so you'll only be able to get a few gold coins. Here, take my purse and put them in my purse. the thief instructed. Then the thief handed his bag of gold coins to Tiny. Tiny took the bag of gold coins and went through the window into the house. When he was inside, Tiny shook the coin bag and shouted to the thief outside, "Okay, you want me to steal all the gold, right?" "Shh, just speak quietly. You'll wake them up." "What did you say? Steal everything?" the thief asked, panicking. Hearing Tiny's screams, the landlord and his servants went there immediately with torches and wood sticks. The thief was too scared and jumped out of the house, running very fast. Tiny quickly found a place to hide. He found a very warm place in the warehouse of the rich man to sleep. He opened the thief's bag and saw that there was a lot of gold inside. He couldn't steal anything and even lost his bag of gold. Serves him right. "Tomorrow I will find a way out," Tiny said. Tiny held the gold bag and slept comfortably. The rich man and his servants searched the house thoroughly and found nothing, so they went back to sleep. Early the next morning, a servant took the sheep to the pasture. Tiny was sitting on the back of a sheep, so he was taken out of the rich man's house. At the pasture, the servant leaned against a tree to sleep and let the sheep graze freely. A wolf was hiding, about to hunt the sheep. It looked hungry. Tiny immediately saw the starving wolf and came up with an idea of how to take advantage of the wolf to return home. The wolf was stalking the sheep when it suddenly heard a voice and startled. "Hey, Mr. Wolf, are you hungry?" Tiny asked. The wolf looked around and saw Tiny. He growled and bared his teeth to threaten Tiny. "You brat! I'm going to eat you alive," the wolf threatened. "Mr. Wolf, look at me. I'm so small. Wouldn't you rather see a house full of food? I can show you where. If you go there, you will be full from morning till night," Tiny suggested. "Really? Where is that house?" the wolf asked. "Carry me on your back. I'll show you the way to that house," Tiny instructed. "Okay, climb on my back and let's go," the wolf agreed. Straight away, Tiny showed the wolf the way to his home. The greedy wolf was very happy, thinking it would have tons of food without realizing that he was being deceived. Finally, the wolf took Tiny back to his home. Tiny pointed at the kitchen, and the wolf quickly went inside. It looked at the delicious breads, and the wolf was very happy and ran to devour the food immediately. "Hey, Mr. Wolf, was the food tasty? I didn't lie, did I?" Tiny asked. "Tasty, delicious, very good," the wolf replied. Waiting until the wolf became really full and laid down to sleep, Tiny screamed to call his parents. "Father, Mother, I have come back home," Tiny shouted. "Shut up, brat! You're screaming so loud, the people are going to hear you," the wolf growled. "Father, Mother, I've come back home," Tiny shouted louder. Hearing Tiny's voice, the farmer couple ran to the kitchen right away. "My son, you've returned home to us," the father exclaimed. The wolf was very frightened to see humans. He quickly got up and ran away. "Oh, my lovely son, you've come back home safe," the mother said, hugging Tiny. Tiny opened the bag of gold coins and the gem he had taken from the bad guys and told his parents the stories. "Oh, wow, my son! We were so very worried about you. You didn't know where you were. I am so glad that you are home. That's the best thing," the father said, relieved. Tiny was very excited and hugged his parents. Since then, they became rich and lived happily ever. Thank you for listening, my friends. Until next time.